2 out of 3.
Okay. Call this meeting to order. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the March 10th, 2025 Budget and Finance Committee meeting. Roll call. I, myself, Chair Councilman Shaquan Davis are here. To my immediate right, we have Mayor Stefan Roots, and we're waiting for Councilman Fred Green. Call for approval of minutes from December 16th, 2024.
So moved.
All approve? Aye.
Aye. You got a second, though.
Oh, I second.
All right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. Public comment on agenda items only. We have no members from the public here. Do we have any public comment? We will now go into the Budget and Finance Department. Will discuss the 2025 financial statements with a presentation from our CFO, Mr. Richard Troutner.
Thank you, Chair.
To the mic.
To the mic.
Yeah, Mike, please, sir.
Thank you, Chair and committee members. We are going to do a brief overview. We have the January financial statements that we can work with. Obviously, it's 1 month out of the year, so it is the beginning of the 2025. So if we go to the next slide, please. This is an overview. It really hasn't changed much from the last year's presentation. It gives a little bit of what we're working with, a focus on the operating numbers. It is based off of the budget that council approved in December. And as always, everything is in context of owing over $40 million to the pension. Next slide, please. A few highlights from the financial statements. We have $13 million of operating cash. We have $16 million in specialty funds. And I will show you more detail on that. What we did from December last year to January, we refined how the cash is attributed. What we did was we identified that some of the operating cash that was reported last year was really specialty cash. So we refined how it being reported. And I'll show you how that works out. Is the staffing. This is something we started a sidebar on. There are 22 vacancies for the year. That includes the 3 that were supposed to start January 1st that haven't, and other positions that will be starting throughout the year. I'm going to refine that for us to have a timeline on when those are going to be added. And the 3 that were January 1 was 1 in HR, 1 in finance, and 1 as the communications. Those were the 3 that were to start January 1. At this date, only 1 of those has a target start date at the end of March. So we have some vacancies that have occurred so far this year.
Pardon my interruption. Out of the 3,
In the mic.
the one that's supposed to start in March that was originally scheduled to start in January from HR, finance, and communication. Could you clarify where that person will be going?
Communications individual is the March 24th start date, is that correct, Chief?
Correct.
So Chief Moore commented that it is March 24th.
Thank you.
That's the start date. So mathematically, the city will have, quote unquote, saved those budgeted dollars for all 3 positions for effectively 3 months. And all 3 of them have benefits attached to them. So we've also saved So, and we paid out 4.7 million of cash for the month.
No, you said oh, never mind. 400,000 unfavorable means less than what we budgeted.
Yes,
And on expenses, 900,000 favorable means it's less than what we
What we
budgeted.
budgeted.
Okay,
yes.
trying to learn the language here.
No, and that's also on me to figure out whether favorable, unfavorable, benefit, better than expectations. We'll work through the lingo here. And then we paid out $4.7 million out of our cash. Next slide, please. So here's a couple of the impacts of that. So if we look at the numbers, and we will, we actually lost 1.9 million for the month. We brought in 3.6 million, we spent 5.5, so we spent 1.9 million more than we brought in. Normally, that's not good. But we actually expected that to happen, and we expected it to happen more than that. We expected that we were actually gonna lose $2.5 million. But we're favorable because we didn't spend near as much as we thought we would. And a large portion of that is because our business insurances came in $450,000 less than what we budgeted. So we were able to negotiate rates $450,000 less than what we budgeted, and we got better terms. We didn't get all of the terms that we wanted, but we got better terms than we had for 2024. We're still going to project the year end to be on budget for revenues and expenses. Still too early in the year. We also know that there is some negative expenditures on the horizon that we have to factor in. They're starting to eat into the 450,000 of savings from the insurance. So we're going to start with $450,000 to the good, and as unexpected things happen, they're going to take away or add to that. So we're tracking that. And then the cash payments, we should put in context that there were 3 payrolls in January. Typically, the 2 within 2 months of the year, we're going to have 3 payrolls. So it just so happens that January was one of those. Flip the slide, please. So this is the actual cash balances that were referred to earlier. The operating cash is on the left, and the special funds are on the right. What we did was we slid from the left side to the right side, the rubbish fund, the rental fund, the capital fund. Those 3 funds slid from the left to the right through further analysis and refinement of our information.
Rental is rental registration, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
And council, a couple of years ago, approved that that should be separated from operations. And so that has been a refinement to come up with those accounting, to put it into a special fund. And as the footnote says, this doesn't include the 62 million that we're holding for pensions and for developer estimates. Those are other people's money that we are responsible for. But this was more germane to showing. The other thing that we slid over was the third from the bottom on the right, the police associated accounts, mostly forfeiture accounts. So the $500,000 that we identified was included in operating funds that really should be more over on the right as dedicated funds. We're working through exactly what the restrictions are on this. This came about on Friday with the meeting with the police department. So
Yeah, what, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
good.
the idea is we're trying to keep continuing to refine the information we have. Question?
On the operating side, the ones that just have dashes, that dash doesn't represent a zero, does it?
Yes,
It does.
yes.
Okay.
So, for example, the payroll bank account, that's designed to be a zero. The money is segregated in there a minute before it's distributed, and then it's distributed out to people that get paid. The idea here is we don't, because that's one area that's ripe for fraud, washing checks and those types of things. We don't want nefarious people to have access to the main account. So the main account doesn't have withdrawals from it. Because we don't want people who can access withdrawals to have access to it. So it's only a physical moving of money can happen out of general fund. That's why it's designed that way. And then we're closing out the medical contributions. That was an accounting thing that was just ins and outs that didn't make a whole lot of accounting sense, but somebody thought it was, frankly, it was extra work. So we're closing. Other questions?
So the medical contributions,
And the mic.
so the medical contributions account will no longer be active.
Right, because it was an accounting extra step that literally it was moving money into it and then moving money out of it. And it was just being done for accounting purposes, no need to.
Okay. I want to go back to the last slide, or for me, the last page for a second.
Sure.
With the net unfavorable results of 1.9 million for the month of January, can you talk to me, can you explain that a little bit more?
Sure. When we did the budget, we did it in aggregate at 62 million. Revenue, 62 million of expense. So balance. But then we went into it and said, every one of those line items is going to get spread out over 12 months. And we looked at it based off the timing. And so it happens to be that January ended up that we projected to have more expenses than revenue. We knew that because January is not a big month for revenue collection. So it was expected to be negative. But every other month is going to be generally positive. And the biggest example of that is going to be February, March, April, when we get all the real estate taxes. You're going to see huge favorable monthly increments that will make up for that. So I'm trying to emphasize that it was planned, that we should not be concerned. It was planned.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Next slide, please. So I tried to make it bigger than last year, and so it's a work in progress. This is half of the revenue. So these are the real estate revenues and the host revenues. And what one would see is there were no revenues from the host fees or conveyance fund, or the casinos was marginal. It's a timing issue, not, that's what it is, it's a timing issue. So the numbers are here just to show them so they're not, so they're full disclosure. But that's what this represents is, we don't get real estate money generally in January, so that's why those numbers are low. Next slide, please. We have here the other revenues that we get, starting with library taxes down through other income. The biggest number in this list is the tax anticipation note. If you recall during the budget process, it was 5 million last year. It $3.3 million was collected, 3,239,636 was projected, so we ended up being $54,000 favorable net out of this group. At the end of the day, we're 359, which is $360,000 unfavorable, which is the 400,000 I mentioned earlier that we were off from budget. One sees on this slide in the far left column, the expenditures are $5,496,000, and hence the net of those two is the $1,009,000 that I referenced earlier. But we are projected to receive all our revenues for the year, hence the $62,749,000, which is on the right. So there's nothing earth-shattering that has developed through March 10th that scares us on the revenue side.
But the numbers still, the numbers do reflect January.
Yes,
Okay,
yes. So we have everywhere to go up, but it's planned to go up.
mhm.
That's the point. We shouldn't be scared of that. We're planning that it's going to be fine. Next, please. On the expenditure side, tried to emphasize or point out that toward the middle, in green, each one of the three major groupings, compensation, benefits, and other, all three of those groupings are favorable in January. Hence, the 880,000 total favorable budget, which in the earlier slide was 900,000 favorable. So that's where the 900,000 comes from. And if one looks at it, we see the 700,000 total other, that's where the insurance falls. And that's one of the big reasons why. Any questions on the expenses? Oh, so over to the right, it shows the $62,749,000, which was budgeted. Same thing. We expect the expenses to be on budget for the rest of the year in aggregate. Fair?
Fair, but I have a question. So
Sure.
what if they are not? What if the expectation, what if we do not meet the expectation?
You would be about the second or third person to know. I mean, I literally, I would have to go to my people and say, what's going on? Have I missed something? Where are we at? And then the conversation with the chief of staff, are we, what do we think? And then we would come to you. And
Okay.
say, we think that there's a gap or an issue. And I believe that's essentially the slide, the presentation.
How soon will we see February?
Before the end of March.
Okay,
So January took longer because of
Right.
issues.
closing out 2024, sort of.
That was part of it, but also my health issues.
Right.
Look at you now. All right, stop.
I don't want them passing out up here.
Mm-hmm.
No, in all seriousness, that's a presentation. We're absolutely comfortable with where we're at right now. And we're working on a couple of cool things to support the numbers better. I referred to a couple of places where we're tracking the pros and cons, so we won't be scrambling when we come to the summer, figuring out, are we or aren't we? You'll be able to see the progression through the year, are we doing? And so,
Gotcha. Do we have any expected, or I wouldn't say unexpected, but do we have any expected additional cash that we are expecting to get anytime soon, like different grants the city might be applying for, or that's really the biggest thing?
We have received some of the grants,
Okay.
So for example, in January, we received $250,000 for the fire truck to be delivered later in the year. We've received, most of the grant money we've received so far this year is really reimbursement money for last year. I don't know of any new major grants, I'm looking for the chief, that we realistically should be counting on. I think it's more making sure that the things that have been applied for, we actually get reimbursed. Given federal hold on some of the money.
Gotcha.
So that, I'm looking, chief, is that a fair recap? That's fair. Okay.
Do we have any update, last question, do we have an update on the weigh station at all? Like, where are we at with that? No? Still, right. Via the police department. I understand, okay.
Give me a couple examples of enterprise funds.
Rubbish.
Okay.
That's the quintessential, in schools, it would be the food program. Those would be the two quintessential exhibits or examples of, it is governmental run programs that really, if you took the name off of it, it could be out in the commercial public arena. And that's the best way to describe it.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
All right, any questions or comments, any more questions or comments from anybody in the committee?
No.
Hearing and seeing none. Any public comments? We have no members of the public here. Anybody from City Hall that have any questions? All right. Hearing and seeing none. All in favor of closing this meeting? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. This meeting is adjourned.